Morning. Okay na, Doc Denver. Thank you.
Yes, Doc. So, good morning po. Doc Eugene, excuse me, pa-verify lang po kung nakikita yung screen ko.
Yes po.
Na-share na po ba?
Okay yung screen and clear yung audio.
Okay po, Doc. Sige po. So, good morning everyone. Today po we'll be having our session for veterinary bacteriology. So, our focus for today will revolve around certain or yung mga characteristics lang ng bacteria natin. So, cultural characteristics which is unique to them as well as biochemical reactions and common diseases of veterinary importance. So first, let us define what is an infectious disease. There. So this occurs as a result of interactions between pathogenic microorganisms and the host. So it's important to make the distinction between infection and infestations. So infection, this refers to diseases which occur inside of the body. So this may be caused by our microorganisms, or this may be caused by internal parasites such as worms. Infection ang tawag pa rin doon. Infestation, this refers to diseases that occur outside, and this is usually caused by our ectoparasites. So for infectious disease to occur, especially those that are caused by bacteria, there are several factors that we have to consider. For example, we have host factors as well as the pathogenic microorganism factors or infectious factors. So before they can cause an infection, kailangan nilang mag-breakthrough sa host defenses and kailangan nilang mapababa yung immune system of the host. So they have to enter both the external and the internal defenses of the host. External, yun yung mga surfaces natin, and internal, this refers to defense mechanisms such as those of our white blood cells. So yan, bacterial diseases or bacterial infections, they begin at some surface of the host. It's maybe internal or external, some mucous membranes or those sa skin. So they need to penetrate those areas para makapag-cause ng infection, and the product may be localized or generalized. Yan. So virulence and pathogenicity, these are also considered. So virulence, this is a prerequisite of pathogenicity. Pathogenicity, this is the ability to cause disease, while virulence is the ability to, or is the weaponry needed to produce yung mga diseases na yun. So yeah, for bacteria, we have the following virulence factors. Yung mga arsenal na ginagamit nila to penetrate our host defenses. First and foremost, we have capsules. So this helps prevent phagocytosis, no, kapag naka-enter na sila. Then we have proteins. That's similar to our capsules. Then we have toxins. We have exotoxins and endotoxins as the most common ones. So exotoxins, these are produced by gram-positive bacteria, and endotoxins are produced by gram-negative bacteria. Ayun. And we have pathogenic enzymes. More on this later kasi these are unique for some bacterial species. Okay, so dito na tayo sa gram-positive bacteria of veterinary importance. Starting with the most basic, which is this one, genus Staphylococcus. So these are gram-positive, and yung arrangement nila is yun, bunch of grapes, irregular clusters resembling bunch of grapes. Kapag kinulture natin sila sa nutrient media or nutrient agar, magiging color ng colonies nila would vary from white to golden or yellow, depende sa species. So Staphylococcus aureus, as the name implies, has gold colonies. So they are facultative anaerobes and they are catalase positive. They also produce coagulase. And coagulase, this is important in their pathogenicity. Ayan. So as mentioned sa lecture natin kahapon, coagulase splits yung hydrogen peroxide natin into hydrogen and water. So if meron tayong Staphylococcus aureus infection sa isang area tapos binuhusan natin siya ng hydrogen peroxide, hindi siya magiging effective masyado. Okay? For common diseases, we have the following. tick paemia, canine pyodermia, botryomycosis, then greasy pig disease. We'll try to tackle this one isa-isa. So tick paemia, this is associated with infections caused by Ehrlichia phagocytophila. Ayun. Tapos, ang magiging carrier nito would be the tick Ixodes ricinus, and this is seen in sheep. Canine pyoderma naman, this occurs secondary to other skin diseases such as mange. Ayun, such as mange. It's either demodectic or sarcoptic mange. Kaya, I think may naalala akong question na ganun sa board dati. Tinanong nila kung ano yung magiging pinaka-treatment plan for mange. Nakalagay doon sa choices yung antiparasitic, antiparasitic and antibiotic, antiparasitic only, antiparasitic and antifungal, etc. The answer there is antiparasitic plus antibacterials. So usually, pag may ganun tayong sakit, nagkakaroon ng secondary bacterial infection. And this is due to Staphylococcus species. Botryomycosis, this occurs in horses after castration. Nagkakaroon siya ng infection doon sa serous cord ng kabayo. Then lastly, yan yung nakikita sa picture, that would be greasy pig disease. And we managed to handle this case noong nung students pa kami. So the etiologic agent for this is Staphylococcus hyicus. And this causes nagkakaroon ng overproduction ng sebaceous glands dun sa skin. Tapos nagkakaroon din ng generalized dermatitis. Although hindi naman mataas yung mortality rate for this disease, nagkakaroon tayo ng mas mababang production value sa mga piglets natin. Bumababa yung growth rate nila as well as yung feed conversion ratio. Ayan. Next, we have genus Streptococcus. So similar to our genus Staph, they produce or they cause suppurative conditions. Yan, yung mga diseases na kinakos nila would vary from mastitis, metritis, polyarthritis, and meningitis. So based sa name, doon sa prefix na strep, they are producing chains. Tapos round sila. They are fastidious and they grow well on blood agar. Although ang pinaka-selective media, pinakamagandang media for genus Streptococcus would be Edwards medium. Yeah. So they are catalase negative, facultative anaerobes, and they are non-motile. So there are several classifications for genus Streptococcus based on their hemolysis and based on the substance C na makikita sa cell walls nila. Let's start with the hemolysis. So we have three types of hemolysis. Yan. So we have alpha, beta, and gamma hemolysis. Beta hemolysis, this refers to complete hemolysis, and this is exemplified by clear zones around the colonies. Ayan. Alpha hemolysis, this is incomplete hemolysis naman. Tapos makakakita tayo ng green or hazy zones lang around sa colonies. Dyan sa picture. Then gamma hemolysis, wala siyang observable changes or very minimal lang yung change na ma-observe natin sa kanya. Then we have Lancefield grouping, and this groups yung Streptococcus species natin based on C substance doon sa kanilang cell walls. So try to memorize these groupings since lumalabas naman sila sa board exams. Ayan. So for diseases, ang pinaka important sa veterinary medicine in terms of Streptococcus is strangles, and this is produced by Streptococcus equi, subspecies equi. So this is a disease that involves the upper respiratory tract. Nagkakaroon tayo ng abscessation ng lymph nodes as well as yung guttural pouch ng horses. So clinical sign, yun nga, para silang nasasakal, nagkakaroon ng choking. In I think around 5% of cases, this may develop into bastard strangles. So what happens there is nagkakaroon ng dissemination into other bodily systems. Therefore, nagkakaroon ng abscessation ng lymph nodes doon sa viscera or doon sa other parts ng body ng kabayo other than doon sa respiratory region. Okay? Next, we have genus Corynebacterium. They exist in several forms. They may occur in club, rod, or cocoid forms. Tapos, they may resemble Chinese letters. Although yung professor ko dati, ang sinabi niya na palatandaan dito, hindi Chinese, pero cuneiform morphology, yung ancient writing systems, mas ano daw siya, mas accurate na description. They are fastidious and pathogenic species are non-motile. So ganun din, they are facultative anaerobes. So we have several diseases under genus Corynebacterium na kailangan bantayan. So itong una, we have caseous lymphadenitis. So lymphadenitis, this involves inflammation of the lymph nodes, and this is caused by pseudotuberculosis, non-nitrate reducing biotype. So this is seen usually in sheep and goats and very rare siya sa cattle. Tapos this starts as an inflammation of the lymph nodes and results ultimately into abscessation. For example, dyan sa picture, ang pinaka-lymph node na affected dyan would be the medial retropharyngeal lymph node. And upon necropsy, ganito yung makikita natin for this case. This is pathognomonic, by the way, which means very unique lang siya for this type of disease. Ayan, onion ring appearance ng lymph node. So, may layers. Next, we have ulcerative lymphangitis. So this involves naman inflammation of the lymph vessels. And this is caused by the nitrate-reducing biotype of Corynebacterium pseudotuberculosis. So this may present as lymphangitis of the lower limbs or abscessation of the pectoral region. Ito siya, around pectoral region yung naging example natin. Next, we have Peasel rot or enzootic melanocystitis, which refers to inflammation naman ng prepuce. So this is caused by Corynebacterium renale and is characterized by ulceration around the prepulcial orifice. Nga pala, in recent years, nagkaroon tayo ng nomenclature change in terms of the Corynebacterium renale group. Kasi dati ang tawag lang sa kanila is Corynebacterium renale 1, 2, and 3. Pero ngayon, pinalitan yung pangalan nila ng Corynebacterium renale, Corynebacterium cystitidis, etc. So we'll take note doon. And lastly, we have bovine pyelonephritis, and this is caused by Corynebacterium renale lang. This is usually a commensal of the prepuce, the vulva and vagina. However, during stressful conditions, especially during weather changes, shipping, ganun, doon sila nagkakaroon ng disease. Pati mating, pwede sila ma-predispose sa disease development during mating. Okay. Next, we have genus Rhodococcus. And the representative species for this is Rhodococcus equi. This was once considered as part of the genus Streptococcus, pero ganun din, recent nomenclature change, nagkaroon siya ng sariling classification. So this may exist in two forms. Yung sinasabi ko yesterday, a rod and a coccoid form. So, yun siya, very obvious from the naming scheme. It is a soil saprophyte, and yung colonies nila consist of salmon pink and mucoid na colonies. Pero mas mucoid naman compared sa salmon pink. This is camp test positive. So camp test, I think lumabas din to dati. Tatanungin nila kung anong ibig sabihin nung CAMP. So this is Christie, Atkins, Munch, and Peterson testing. And this is used to identify hemolytic streptococci based on the formation of yung mga substance na perform ng hemolysis. So what's the disease na kinakos nito? We have fall pneumonia. Ayan. So this is a typical suppurative bronchopneumonia. So yung disease development, this is very similar to TB, to the development of TB, although wala tayong nakikitang tapioca appearance doon sa lungs ng hayop. So treatment or pinaka-treatment for fall pneumonia caused by Rhodococcus equi would be rifampin and erythromycin. Madali lang siyang tandaan since remember ang pangalan ng etiologic agent is Rhodococcus equi, RE. So yung treatment niya magiging RE din. We have rifampin and erythromycin. Next, we have actinomycetes. So actinomycetes, this consists of the following genuses. We have actinomyces, or genus, Actinomyces, Arcanobacterium, Actinobaculum, Nocardia, and Dermatophilus. They are called actinomycetes because napagkamalan silang fungi earlier sa discovery nila dahil sa formation ng filamentous projections, which is similar to the fungal hypha or hyphae. However, mas maliliit yung makikita natin sa species na to. They are opportunistic and will cause infections kapag nagkaroon ng stressful conditions dun sa animal. So, itong mga to, may kanya-kanya silang predisposing factors. Isa-isahin natin. So, first, we have the three actinomyces, Arcanobacterium and Actinobaculum. These are almost non-distinguishable sa isa't isa. They are non-motile, they produce no spores, and they are MZN negative or modified Ziehl-Neelsen negative. So, hindi sila acid-fast. They are commensals of mucous membranes. Next, we have Nocardia. So, Nocardia is aerobic. This tests positive after staining with modified Ziehl-Neelsen. They can also grow on Saboru's dextrose media, kaya napagkakamalan silang fungi. They are soil saprophytes. Then next, we have Dermatophilus. This is aerobic, capnophilic. This is unique because they produce motile coccal zoospores. So kapag tinanong yun, automatic Dermatophilus na siya. This does not grow on Saboru's dextrose agar. And I think ang tissue tropism neto would be on keratinized surfaces of the animal. Ayan. Also, yung colonies pala nito, depende sa source na babasahin nyo, is described as having a train track or tram track appearance. So, very distinct din yun. Nagbasa ako sa other actinomyces, siya lang ang meron din. So, diseases. Common diseases caused by these microorganisms. First one, we have bovine lumpy jaw. Etiologic agent would be Actinomyces bovis. Yun, this starts as an inflammation lang, pero as time goes on, nagkakaroon tayo ng osteomyelitis. So, nagkakaroon ng pagkasira doon sa mandible. Yun yung pinaka-common area na affected, although the maxilla may be affected by the infection in certain cases. So, predisposing factors, sa mga following, we have rough feed, tooth decay, or tooth eruption. If nakakain din ng mga or nakamuyan ng pako tong mga cattle, pwedeng ma-predispose sila doon sa disease condition. So this is an example of a normal mandible as well as yung affected mandible. Ayan. Do take note that this disease is often compared doon sa isang gram-negative disease natin, which is known as wood tongue or wooden tongue, which is caused by Actinobacillus lignursi. Kasi initially parehas sila ng pinapakitang clinical sign. Ayan. So, pwede tayong mag-extract ng pus from infections of Actinomyces bovis. Magiging yellowish yung color nila, especially after washing it down or diluting it with normal saline. If it is from Actinomyces viscosus, magiging whitish. So these are also known as sulfur granules kapag yellowish. So other diseases, we have canine actinomycosis. Nagkakaroon tayo ng cutaneous pyogranulomas. We have porcine cystitis and pyonephritis. This is caused by Actinobaculum suis and bovine farcy or Nocardia farcy, caused by Nocardia farcinica. Yan, nagkakaroon ng disseminated conditions, tapos usually enlargement lang siya ng lymph nodes or lymph vessels. Then we have cutaneous sporotrichosis. The etiologic agent would be Dermatophilus congolensis, and most commonly affected species dito would be sheep. Ang common name ng disease is lumpy wool. This may also be seen in larger ruminants and horses, although these are rare. Also, we have foot rot or strawberry foot rot. Ayun. Other etiologic agents of foot rot, pero hindi ko na-include dito, would be Fusobacterium necrophorum. So for Dermatophilus congolensis, they initially appear as dry scabs after nila ma-infect. Remember, yung tissue tropism nila would be on scabs and keratinized cells. Tapos, as time goes on, nagkakaroon ng accumulation of hair, wool, pus, discharges doon sa area, lumalaki siya. And nagkakaroon ng dry casing, parang prutas. Kaya ganun yung tawag doon sa disease. Okay. Next, we have genus Listeria. So, this is very distinct since they are motile by means of a peritrichous flagella. And other sources indicate na ang movement nila ay tumbling. Tumbling motility yung magiging movement nila. The representative species for this is Listeria monocytogenes. And genus Listeria, they grow in a wide range of pH and temperature ranges. So disease outbreaks are related to feeding of poor quality silage. So hindi siya masyadong acidic. Kasi if I remember correctly, genus Listeria, they will grow they will grow pa rin in pH 5.5 pataas, pero they will die kapag mas acidic yung magiging environment nila. So in stab gelatin culture, meron tayong inverted tree or Christmas tree appearance. Ayan. So other methods to test for Listeria infections involves Anton test. Tapos this involves dropping nutrient broth na may kinulture na suspect microorganism doon sa mata ng rabbits. And if nagkaroon tayo ng keratoconjunctivitis, ibig sabihin positive siya for listeriosis or listeria. So listeriosis is the disease produced by the microorganism, and we have several manifestations. We have septicemia, encephalitis, and abortion. Encephalitis is the most common manifestation in farm animals. So this is also known as the circling disease, and we may observe the following clinical signs: head pressing, tapos nagpo-progress to paralysis and death ng animal. Okay. Next, we have genus Erysipelathrix. They occur as rods or filaments. Filaments are the smooth, rods are the rough forms. So they produce hydrogen sulfide on triple sugar ion agar. They are commonly seen on porcine tonsils, so they are opportunistic and occur after stressful conditions ulit. So this disease is important because pwede siya maging differential diagnosis for African swine fever since nagkakaroon tayo ng bluish or reddish na blotches on the skin after infection. So erysipelas or diamond skin disease, the etiologic agent would be Erysipelathrix rochopathiae. And yung mga skin blotches na nakikita natin, that is a result of vascular damage. Other manifestations of the disease, we may also see abortion. Tapos pwede rin tayo makakita ng cardiac arrest, especially kapag nagkaroon na ng microthrombus formation, tapos mapunta sa heart. Matake na lang yung animal. Ayan. So in sheep, we may observe polyarthritis, pneumonia, and valvular endocarditis. The disease is also present in turkeys. Kakaroon tayo ng septicemia, arthritis, valvular endocarditis, tapos magkakaroon ng swollen snoods. Sometimes this becomes necrotic. Okay. Next, we have genus Bacillus. These are rods, and these are strict aerobes. They produce endospores. They stain readily with polychromethylene blue. This is otherwise, yung magiging result dito after staining is otherwise known as McFadden's reaction. So McFadden's reaction, makikita natin yung square-ended rods, tapos this is surrounded by pink capsules. So upon gross examination, yung colonies nila, ground glass yung magiging appearance. And kapag tinignan under the microscope, medusa head colonies or serpentine colonies yung makikita natin. Parang ahas daw, pero wala naman akong makitang parang ahas dito sa colony nito. Siguro itong parang clumping dito around sa bottom area. So they produce holotoxins which has 3 protein factors: hema factor, protective antigen, and lethal factor. Ayan. So the disease caused by this microorganism is anthrax. This is a reportable disease to the OIE. Yun din. Well, I'll try to provide supplementary materials for reportable or notifiable diseases kasi minsan nilalabas nila yung mga yun. And that's important for your public health. So anthrax, this is caused by Bacillus anthracis. This is zoonotic. And depende sa route of transmission sa humans, magiging iba yung disease manifestation nila. So in animals, especially for your ruminants, because they are highly susceptible to the disease, ang form nila would be acute and septicemic. So bigla na lang silang mamamatay and makakakita tayo ng blood or discharges from the orifices ng animal. So pigs and horses, they are moderately susceptible to the disease. However, birds, poultry, hindi sila susceptible since mataas yung kanilang body temperature. Yun. This is also known as wool sorters disease pala in humans if pulmonary yung magiging route of transmission. Next, we have genus Clostridium, and this involves a wide variety of diseases as well as a wide variety of etiologic agents. So, as you can see dun sa slide natin, andyan yung distinct shapes ng ibang species nila. For Clostridium tetani, we have the typical drumstick or badminton appearance, badminton racket appearance. And we have Clostridium chauvet, lemon-shaped na endospores. Then Clostridium perfringens, wide rods. Ayun. They may be used for classification tong shapes na to. Ayan. Ito na lang. Yung mga diseases nila later, makikita nyo dun sa slide din natin. In which media is required for their growth. Yan. So, we can also classify them based on the disease-producing mechanisms. First, we have toxin-forming and non-invasive. Ayan, we have Clostridium tetani and Clostridium botulinum. They affect neuromuscular function without damaging the surrounding tissues. Or pwede lang i-damage pero very minimal lang, and this helps with the spread of the toxin. Next, we have tissue invading and enterotoxigenic. This involves the majority of other species. Yeah. So based on their toxins, neurotoxic, C. tetani, C. botulinum, and C. argentinense. Histotoxic, we have C. chauvet, C. septicum, C. novi, C. hemolyticum, sordeli-colinum, and enterotoxemia, we have C. perfringens types A and E. Per type, iba yung disease na kinakos ng Clostridium perfringens natin. So we'll start with the most common disease. Most important, we have tetanus. And this produces a spastic paralysis due to overstimulation ng mga muscles. The disease or the main toxin for this disease would be tetanus plasmin. And characteristics, so horse stance, ma-observe natin. So since horse yung pinaka-representative, sila yung pinaka-susceptible. Ayun, so highest to no susceptibility, we have horses, we have men or humans, we have ruminants, pigs, carnivores, poultry, hindi na naman sila susceptible sa tetanus. So the disease or the paralysis may be ascending or descending. So ascending, mag-i-start siya sa limbs ng animal. Doon unang magkakaroon ng muscle rigidity. For descending, mag-i-start siya doon sa torso. So magiging affected muna yung breathing niya before it spreads to everywhere else. And the disease may lead to rhesus sardonicus, especially in human victims. So rhesus sardonicus would be the characteristic smile ng patients after nilang maparalyze. After maparalyze ng facial muscles nila. Lockjaw is also a common finding for tetanus. Yeah. Next, we have botulism, and this arises from toxin ingestion, especially around sa mga watering holes or areas na may waterfalls. Ayun. So nakukuha natin yung toxins from decaying plant and animal material. We have several types, A to G. And poultry is the most susceptible dito. Ayan. Clinical signs, manlalambot yung animal. So spastic paralysis, flaccid paralysis pala to. Tapos spastic paralysis doon sa kabila. Mouse inoculation is the most common method for toxin demonstration. So we try to inoculate the toxin sa mga daga. And characteristic result would be the wasp waste appearance. Ayan. So in comparison, tetanus and botulism. So for tetanus, wounds are the site of toxin production. And for botulism, sa carcasses siya. Then spastic paralysis, flaccid paralysis. Tetanus results from overstimulation. Botulism results from under or no stimulation at all. Kaya nagiging flaccid siya. Next, we have Clostridium perfringens. Listed dyan sa slide natin would be the diseases associated with each type. Pero pinaka-important dito, I think, would be type D, pulpy kidney disease. This is also known as overeating syndrome or overeating disease. Especially kapag mataas yung grains doon sa diet ng animal. Ayun. Common finding upon necropsy for pulpy kidney disease would be destruction or panlalambot ng cortical zones ng kidney. Hence the name. Next, we have bacillary hemoglobinuria, and this is caused by Clostridium hemolyticum. So, pinaka-clinical sign dito would be hemoglobinuria or production of dark red urine. Other books, sinasabi nila port or parang wine yung magiging ihi ng animal dito. Pathognomonic lesion is a large infarct. Next, we have Black's disease, and this is caused by Clostridium novi. So, liver flukes, they play a major role. Lalo kapag nagmamigrate sila. Yung tracks na iniiwan nila doon nagkakaroon ng infection for Black's disease. So, in the Philippines, I think the most important fluke or liver fluke would be Fasciola gigantica kasi according sa mga sources na nakita ko, wala ng Fasciola hepatica dito. Fasciola gigantica na lang. Next, we have black leg, and this is caused by Clostridium chauvet. So this is characterized by gangrenous cellulitis and myositis. So after hematogenous spread, napupunta siya sa heart, magkakaroon ng myositis sa heart, then mamamatay yung animal. Ayun, so the animal may acquire the disease through ingestion or through wounds, especially kapag hindi aerated yung sugat. Then kakaroon ng cardiac myopathy. Injuries, especially mga penetrating, pwedeng mag-predispose dun sa disease condition. Next, we have genus Mycobacterium. So Mycobacterium, this is aerobic, and gaya ng sabi natin kahapon, tissue tropism nila would be sa respiratory epithelium. This is acid fast, so this test positive for our Zil-Nielsen method, and this is due to the high content of mycolic acid. They are intracellular and highly resistant. They are opportunistic. Obligate. They are relatively host resistant din since hindi lahat ng species pwedeng ma-affect ng isang etiologic agent. So the media used for the cultivation of these bacteria would be Dorset Storm-Brinks and Lowenstein-Jensen. What you see on the screen is Lowenstein-Jensen, and yellow to irregular masses ang makikita natin. This is almost diagnostic para sa kanila. Yeah. So next. Ayun, so this is a summary of animals that are susceptible to certain etiologic agents. So cattle is highly susceptible for Mycobacterium species or Mycobacterium infections. So M. tuberculosis, bovis, and avium subspecies avium, pwede sila magkasakit. Yan. So M. tuberculosis, of course, this causes tuberculosis. M. bovis, ganun din. M. avium subspecies avium, this may produce Jones disease in cattle, especially sa young cattle. Yan. So primates, they are not susceptible to M. avium subspecies avium. However, pwede tayong makakuha ng disease from ruminants. Okay, so on the disease, bovine tuberculosis. So transmission nito would be aerosol, direct contact, congenital, venereal, pwede rin sa milk. This is a chronic disease condition, and nagkakaroon tayo ng caseous necrosis around dun sa lung. So this starts after So the disease starts after maphagocytose ng macrophages yung infecting microorganism. Tapos after phagocytosis, nagkakaroon ng taxis or kakaroon ng chemotaxis calling for more phagocytes. Then nagkakaroon ng buildup, nagkakaroon ng loci. It will start as inflammation, then magkakaroon na ng necrosis later on. So calcareous yung magiging lesion natin dito. So medyo matigas-tigas siya and merong calcium deposition. So how are we going to diagnose the disease? Screening test na ginagamit natin dito would be tuberculin testing, and this is based on delayed type hypersensitivity or type 4 hypersensitivity. So sites na ginagamit natin dito for testing would be around the caudal fold sa tail, tapos doon sa neck ng cattle. So magtutusok lang tayo dyan. Then after 72 hours, i-measure yung magpo-form na inflammatory response. So kapag malaki siya, positive yung animal. Treatment and control, we have test and slaughter, test and segregation, chemotherapy. We use isoniazid to control the disease. BCG vaccine or Bacille Calmette Guerin vaccine. Although ang success rate nito is around 70% lang ata. Tapos biosecurity measures. So disinfection of the area, controlling the movement of people would still be the best method to control tuberculosis. And next we have Jones disease. otherwise known as paratuberculosis. So depende sa gagamitin nilang nomenclature. The etiologic agent would be Mycobacterium paratuberculosis or M. avium subspecies paratuberculosis. This is reportable to the OIE, and this is characterized by chronic wasting disease and can easily be acquired by calves. So upon birth, pwede na sila magkaroon ng sakit na to. Tapos magkakaroon sila ng chronic intermittent diarrhea. While they are growing, yung feed conversion nila as well as yung paglaki, hindi siya magiging maganda and magiging emaciated sila later down the line. This is a huge production concern. Instead of, excuse me, and instead na magiging malaki yung mga baka doon, instead magkakaroon ng maayos na milk production, mababawasan lahat dahil sa disease. Okay? Next, we have gram-negative bacteria of veterinary importance. Let's start with the broadest classification. Sa kanila, Enterobacteriaceae. This is further subdivided into lactose fermenters and non-lactose fermenters. And this is easily observed kapag ginaw natin sila sa McConkey agar. So for lactose fermenters, we have Ecce, Escherichia, Klebsiella, and Enterobacter. For non-lactose fermenters, we have Spice, Salmonella, Proteus, Yersinia, and Shigella. So general characteristics, and this is applicable for all species under Enterobacteriaceae. They are gram-negative, facultative anaerobes. They are motile via peritrichous flagella and they ferment glucose. Majority of them are commensals dun sa mga gastrointestinal tracts ng animal or other systems. Pero based sa name, Enterobacteria, nasa around ano lang sila, nasa GI tract. So first we have genus Escherichia. This is a normal inhabitant of the lower intestines of all warm-blooded animals. We can also see this doon sa uterus. And during cases of pyometra, E. coli yung isa sa mga pinaka nagkukos ng pus doon. So this is motile or they are motile by means of peritrichous flagella. And the following antigens listed on the screen are used for their classifications. So after in-vic testing, ito yung makikita nating results. Positive, positive, negative, negative. Please familiarize doon sa chart na nasend yesterday, as that is important. Okay, so pathogenic strains of E. coli are classified into the following. We have ETEC or enterotoxigenic, enteropathogenic, verotoxigenic, and necrotoxigenic. So enterotoxigenic strains, they produce two types of toxins. We have heat labile and heat stable toxins. Ayan, so heat labile, this induces hypersecretion. So nagkakaroon tayo ng hypersecretory diarrhea. For heat stable toxins naman, nagkakaroon tayo ng malabsorptive diarrhea. So enterotoxigenic strains, they require, I think, intimin for their attachment doon sa GI tract. Tapos K88 is important for pigs and K99 is important in calves. Yeah. So enteropathogenic strains of E. coli, this destroys microvilli naman. So magiging diarrhea dito is, I think ano lang din, malabsorptive kasi destruction of villi would retard the absorption of materials from the small intestine. Next, we have virotoxigenic and this destroys vasculature naman, which will ultimately lead into necrosis and ganun din, malabsorptive diarrhea. Ganun din, similar si necrotoxigenic, nagkakos siya ng necrosis ng blood vessels. Virotoxigenic pala, this is usually associated sa Shiga toxin produced by Shigella species. Ayun. So, E. coli, it causes a wide range of diseases. However, pinaka-ma-observe natin dyan would be diarrhea. They may also cause coliform mastitis, and as mentioned earlier, pyometra, and meningitis. Pero usually, chronic wasting diseases din ang makikita sa kanila. Okay, next, we have Salmonella. So, they are grown on XLD agar. Tapos nagkakaroon tayo ng hydrogen sulfide production, which is exhibited by the black color of the colonies. Yan. So common diseases caused by Salmonella, we have fowl typhoid, bacillary white diarrhea, and paratyphoid. Meron din. Puro pagtatae, puro wasting diseases ang pinaka-kinokos nila. Next, genus Proteus. The most characteristic feature or most characteristic observation sa genus Proteus upon culture would be the swarming sa agar. Yun yung parang waves dyan na makikita nyo. Ayun, this has been associated with diarrhea din in young animals, and this is important in meat spoilage kasi this can survive refrigeration temperatures. Next, we have genus Yersinia. This is mainly transmitted by fleas. Secondary lang ang rodents natin dito. So yun yung common misconception. Kasi di ba yung black plague sinasabi nila mga daga yung nagdala, pero in reality it was the fleas. And this is caused by Yersinia pestis. So three forms of the disease are recognized. We have bubonic, septicemic, and pneumonic. Bubonic, this involves the formation of buboes or inflammation and necrosis of the lymph nodes then. Next, we have genus Pseudomonas and Burkholderia. They're also gram-negative, of course. So they are motile except for Burkholderia mallei. And no special growth requirements except for B. mallei ulit. So Pseudomonas produces the following colors or pigments. We have pyocyanin, pyorubin, pyoverdin, and pyomelanin. So cyanin, blue, red, green, and black. Bluish green yung iba. So they grow on nutrient agar and shows greenish, almost metallic sheen similar to E. coli. And they produce grape-like or sweetish smell. Depende sa source na babasahin nyo. Grape-like or sweetish smell from Pseudomonas species. So this is caused by these microorganisms. Ito yung una. We have glanders caused by Burkholderia mallei. This is zoonotic and this is characterized by formation of nodules and ulcers sa respiratory tract ng animal. Mucopurulent nasal discharge may be observed, tapos pwede magkaroon ng septicemia, fever, weight loss, and respiratory distress. Ayan. So this is seen on horses. Then we have melioidosis, and geologic agent for this is Burkholderia pseudomallei. Diagnosis, this is similar sa tuberculosis. Magkaiba lang yung tawag, Malin test, and also type 4 hypersensitivity yung ginagamit na concept sa kanya. Administration or inoculation would be intrapalpebral as opposed doon sa na-mention natin earlier na caudal fold and sa neck region. Tapos, makakakita tayo ng conjunctivitis within 24 hours as opposed to dun sa isa which involves 40 to 72 hours. Next, we have Aeromonas, Plesiomonas, and Vibrio species. These are aquatic species and usually halophilic sila. So they can survive in salt environments. They are opportunistic pathogens of fish, reptiles, and rarely mammals. Pinaka-important dito would be Vibrio cholerae because this causes cholera in humans. So cholera involves diarrhea and nakukuha siya upon ingestion of dirty, brackish water. So mga nasa around squatter, mga squammy areas. Next, we have genus Actinobacillus. So ito na yung kino-compare kanina doon sa Actinomyces bovis. They are cocobacillary and commensals din ng mucous membranes of animal. Relatively host-specific sila. So species of vet importance grow on Macaulay agar with the exception of Actinobacillus pleuropneumonia. So the disease caused by this microorganism is wooden tongue. Ayun. So similar predisposing factor doon sa Actinomyces bovis since they are both commensals of the mucous membranes. So upon ingestion of rough feed or injury to the oral cavity or sa bunganga, nagkakaroon tayo ng inflammation, abscessation. Tapos for bovine species, ang pinaka-characteristic dito would be inflammation or tumorous mass growth doon sa dila nila. Usually makikita nyo sa Taurus lingui animal. Wooden tongue is often compared with Actinomyces bovis kasi similar nga yung development nila as well as yung abscess formation, may makukuha rin kayo dito. Although white yung magiging itsura niya, hindi sulfur granules after washing with saline. Next, we have pleuropneumonia, and this is caused by Actinobacillus pleuropneumonia. And all pigs are affected, all ages. So, acute disease, this causes severe fibrinous pneumonia, although bloody discharges from the nose may be seen or mucopurulent discharge. Chronic cases exhibit pleuritis and nagiging payat din yung mga baboy after. No? So next, we have Pasteurella, Mannheimia, and Weberstinia. So this group of diseases, lahat sila nagre-require ng stress bago mag-cause ng sakit. Itong mga microorganisms na to, sorry. So, shipping, yung movement ng animals, rainy seasons, the presence of worms, all of those are predisposing factors for disease development. There are commensals in the upper respiratory tract, so expect na respiratory diseases din to. And Pasteurella exhibit bipolar staining after gram stain. Nung una, hindi ko magets kung ano yung bipolar staining ng student ako. Akala ko dalawang colors, pero as you can see doon sa picture, which I realized later on after ko graduate, yung both poles pala nung microorganism yung magkakastain. Yung sa gitna parang white lang siya or parang hindi nag-absorb ng color. So Pasteurella, this is very specific. Meron siyang bipolar staining. Ayan. Okay, so for diseases, first and foremost, we have hemorrhagic septicemia. Hemosep. Yan ang tawag ng mga farmers. So this is caused by P. multocida serotype B2. So the disease is characterized by sudden onset of high fever, then nagkakaroon ng mucopurulent discharge, respiratory distress. If nagiging severe yung disease, magkakaroon na ng bleeding doon sa pharyngeal and cervical lymph nodes, and makikita nyo doon sa ilong niya. So during monsoon seasons, dumadami yung cases natin ng hemorrhagic septicemia. Vaccines are available to control the disease, and those are usually attenuated or MLV or modified live vaccines. Next, we have shipping fever. Dalawa yung implicated na etiologic agents for this. We have Mannheimia hemolytica and Pasteurella multocida. Multifactorial yung etiology niya, which means we have several etiologic agents. So, Mannheimia hemolytica, Pasteurella multocida, even certain viruses have been implicated as a cause of the disease. So, bovine herpes virus 1, bovine respiratory syncytial virus, para influenza 3, bovine viral diarrhea virus, and bovine adenoviruses are implicated as causes of the disease. This is characterized by severe bronchopneumonia and pleurisy. Tapos ganun din, similar to hemorrhagic septicemia, we will see mucopurulent nasal discharges. However, walang bleeding. Ayun. So, at necropsy, ang makikita natin dito would be cranioventral distribution of lesions doon sa lungs nila. So, interstitial pneumonia, primary lesion. Next, we have atrophic rhinitis. So this is caused by Pasteurella multocida type D or A. Although initial infections are produced by Bordetella bronchioseptica. Ayun. So they occur hand in hand, tapos nagkakaroon tayo ng turbinate atrophy. Once you see this, nagkakaroon na ng shrinking dun sa ilong, this is almost always diagnostic for the disease. Next, we have foul cholera. This is produced by Pasteurella multocida type A. This is also a respiratory disease. Tapos, we'll observe swollen wattles, swollen faces, pwede magkaroon ng torticollis, kakaroon din ng respiratory distress. And finally, we have snuffles, and this is produced by Pasteurella multocida type A. So this causes recurring and purulent rhinitis in rabbits. Okay. Next, we have Francisella, genus Francisella. So they are fastidious microorganisms, and they require the addition of cysteine sa agar media for their growth. So cysteine, that is an amino acid and that contains sulfur. And they are obligate aerobes. non-motile, and weakly catalase positive. Representative species for this was Francisella tularensis, and reservoir host includes rabbits, rodents, birds, and deer. Important din sa kanilang transmission yung presence ng ticks as well as the deer fly. So ticks such as Dermacentor variabilis, Dermacentor andersoni, and Ambyloma americanum are important for disease transmission. This is zoonotic, by the way. So deer fly, Chrysops discalis, this is also important in transmission. Ayun. So the infection may occur after skin abrasions or arthropod bites. So kapag kinagat ka ng deer fly or ng ticks, pwede ka makakuha ng disease. The disease is characterized by lymphadenitis, it's either local or generalized. So magkakaroon ka rin ng pyrexia, yung mga usual na manifestations din. Next, we have Histophilus, Haemophilus, and Avibacterium. These are fastidious and they are very well known for their requirement na factor V and factor X or nicotinamide, adenine dinucleotide, NAD, or hamine. So the main pathogens include Histophilus somnus, that's for cattle, Haemophilus parasuis in pigs, and Avibacterium paragalinarum in poultry. Haemophilus parasuis, this causes Glasser's disease. So this starts as a respiratory infection. So makikita nyo sa mga baboy, sinisipon na yan, inuubo nila. Or umuubo sila, sorry. So chronic cases will manifest as polycirrhosis, leptomeningitis, nagkakaroon din ng fibrinous adhesions sa visceral organs. And this affects um, weanlings as well as growers. Especially growers, mas maraming cases ng growers. So at necropsy, kapag binuksan natin yung joint capsules ng baboy, makakakita tayo ng fibrinous deposits. Ganon din sa mga visceral organs, sila ang daming adhesions na present. Next, we have coryza, caused by Avibacterium paragalinarum. So again, respiratory disease and affects the upper respiratory tract ng chickens. Mucopurulent discharge may be observed. Sometimes may blood. Nagkakaroon tayo ng tracheitis. So upon opening the animal, makikita nyo may froth doon sa trachea. And froth in the trachea, this indicates pneumonia. So facial swelling may be seen in most cases. Next, we have genus Taylorella. This is fastidious and requires carbon dioxide for their growth. Isa lang yung representative species ulit dito, which is Taylorella equigenitalis, and the disease cause is CEM or contagious equine metritis. Yun. The microorganism is usually seen in the prepuce of male animals, tapos natatransmit siya during coitus. So this may cause abortion or discharges from the vulva in female animals. Next, we have genus Moraxella. Representative species for this is Moraxella bovis, and they usually occur in pairs. So the disease cause is pink eye or infectious keratoconjunctivitis. Yung pilus nila, this is important for disease production. So loss of pilus will correlate with loss of virulence or pathogenic ability. Next, we have genus Brucella. These are zoonotic then, and they are intracellular pathogens. They exhibit tissue tropism to placenta, mammary glands, and epididymis. And this is due to the high content or the presence of erythritol in these areas. They are relatively host specific, usually affecting only one host at a time, producing a single disease at a time. Ayan. So they usually cause abortions, itong genus Brucella. They may also cause fever in humans. We have Malta fever caused by Brucella melitensis. And that is all usually seen in goats. Ayan. So test for Brucella, we have the following. Although in the Philippine setting, ang pinaka-ginagamit dito would be the Rose Bengal plate test. And this is an antigen-based test that is used for screening kung merong naka-harbor na Brucella yung mga cattle. Ayan. So as you can see here, we have 3 samples dito. And yung nasa pinaka-right, meron tayong makikitang clumping or agglutination. So, agglutination, this indicates a positive result. And if a cattle has tested positive, they usually undergo PCR testing. Next, we have genus Campylobacter. They are they are characterized by the gull-shaped appearance of their cells. They grow best on enriched media, and GI reproductive diseases are seen kapag nagkaroon ng infection. So GI diseases, usually diarrhea, ma-observe natin. For reproductive type of reproductive diseases, we may observe abortions, similar to brucellosis. Yeah. Next, we have genus Lawsonia. This is an obligate intracellular pathogen, and in recent years, apparently hindi pa siya nag-grow outside the host, which is yung pigs natin. So representative species for this is Lawsonia intracellularis, and this causes PPE or porcine proliferative enteropathy. Tissue tropism of the microorganism would be on porcine enterocytes. So nagkakaroon tayo ng thickening, nagkakaroon ng malabsorption, then this will lead to diarrhea and inflammatory lesions around the terminal ileum, cecum, and colon. Next, genus Mycoplasma. They are the smallest ng bacteria, measuring ano lang siya, 0.15 micrometers. And pinaka-characteristic nila would be the lack of cell walls. So upon gross examination upon examination sa microscope, makikita natin dito would be fried egg na appearance. Sunny side up, hindi siya scrambled. Fried egg appearance. They are pleomorphic, and they are susceptible to external factors such as desiccation, heat, and disinfectants. However, they are resistant to majority of beta-lactam antibiotics, or all beta-lactam antibiotics, sorry, because they don't have cell walls. Important species, we have Mycoplasma and Ureaplasma. In recent years, meron na rin tayong tinatawag na hemoplasmas or hemotropic mycoplasmas. An example of this would be Hemobartonella filis. Kasi dati si Hemobartonella filis, considered siya under Rickettsia. However, new classification implies na hemotropic mycoplasma na siya. Yan. Common diseases, we have enzootic pneumonia, and this is caused by Mycoplasma pneumoniae. This affects pigs of all ages, and the condition is characterized by coughing, poor growth rates, and respiratory distress. Next, we have contagious bovine pleuropneumonia, and etiologic agent would be M. mycoides, subspecies mycoides, small colony type. Ganon din, respiratory diseases din, kakaroon ng marbled appearance yung lungs, respiratory distress, etc. And lastly, we have contagious caprine pleuropneumonia. This is caused by M. capriculum, subspecies Capri pneumoniae. Ganon din. Similar manifestations. Next, we have chlamydia or chlamydophila. So they are unique because they are intracellular and they produce infecting elementary bodies. So yung disease or yung life cycle nila and disease production is more similar to viruses as opposed sa bacteria. Kasi nag-hijack din sila or they almost hijack host cells, tapos doon sila magpo-produce ng extra na elementary bodies. So appropriate staining procedures include Zinn-Nielsen and GEMSA. They don't stain well with gram staining. So they produce a myriad of diseases. They lack peptidoglycan din sa kanilang cell walls, kaya hindi sila nag-stain properly sa gram. So diseases caused by chlamydia or chlamydophila species include the following. Take note pala, chlamydia is part of your vaccine sa 4-in-1 doon sa mga pusa. We have RCCP, rhinotracheitis, chlamydia, calicivirus, and panleukopenia. Yun yung content nun, if ever lang itanong sa board exam. Ayun, so feline chlamydiosis, this is caused by Chlamydophila felis, and this is part of the feline respiratory disease complex. Ayun, so feline respiratory disease complex, ano rin siya, nagkakaroon din siya ng multifactorial na etiology. So feline chlamydiosis is one of them. Next, we have FVR virus or feline viral rhinotracheitis, feline calicivirus, and feline herpes virus. So mga manifestations nun almost similar. Nagkakaroon tayo ng mucopurulent nasal discharge, minsan mabaho siya. Nagkakaroon tayo ng oral ulcerations, pyrexia, kakaroon ng severe dehydration, magkakaroon ng mabahong smell, and parang nag-choke yung animal usually. Pag sinasabi ng mga owners, parang may nakabarang tinik sa lalamunan. Those are all parts of your feline respiratory disease complex. Next, we have avian chlamydiosis. So this they may vary depending on this infective strain, and usually systemic yung mga infection dito. Ayun, 8 avian serotypes are recognized, A to F. Mga common manifestations would be nasal and ocular discharges, conjunctivitis, sinusitis, um, diarrhea, usually colored green or yellow, tapos nagkakaroon ng common weakness, fever, anorexia, etc. Necropsy findings, magkakaroon tayo ng serofibrinous polyserositis, pericarditis, perihepatitis, etc. Then next, we have your spirochetes. So we have Leptospira and Spirocetaceae. They are motile by means of endoflagella, although other sources, ang sinasabi nilang method for movement would be through axial filaments. And they produce zoonotic infections, especially for Leptospira. So the Leptospira species, they are classified as serovars, hindi strains. So iba-ibang serovar, iba-ibang host din yung kanilang tina-target or yung mga natural infections nila. Iba-ibang host din. So disease syndromes include the following. So for cattle, we have milk drop syndrome, abortion, neonatal mortality, hemoglobinuria, jaundice. Tapos involved are the following: Pomona, Gripotyposa, and ichthemorrhagy. For pigs, often subclinical sila. Tapos infertility, abortions, and stillbirths ang ma-observe natin. So depending upon the stage of pregnancy, iba yung makikita nating clinical sign. Kung early, I think abortion siya. If middle, stillbirths. Pero if late na, usually the animal develops a resistance to the infection. So may papanganak pa rin siya although they will shed the bacteria. So dogs, ganun din. Acute hemorrhagic fever usually characterized by jaundice, and this is due to intravascular hemorrhage and hepatic failure. Ayan. So the following serovars, ito mga maintenance hosts nila. So Canicula, we have dogs. Pomona, we have pigs, cattle, opossums, and skunks. Gripotyphosa, the following: raccoons, skunks, voles, hardjaw for cattle, ichthemorrhagy for rats, Batislava, pigs, mice, and horses. Ichthemorrhagy is, I think, is the most common here in the Philippines. Next, we have Borrelia species. Yeah, so the disease caused by this includes the following: avian spirochetosis, Lyme disease, and Brachyspira and serpulina. And finally, we have Rickettsiales. They are obligate intracellular pathogens, and they have different areas of interest, or iba-iba yung kanilang tina-target na cells or tissues doon sa ating circulatory system. They stain well with Gemsa or Leishman and other Romanowski stains. They don't stain properly with our gram staining. They are tick-borne and they parasitize, yun nga, sabi natin, different cells. So listed there, yung kanilang vectors as well as yung distribution, disease, and mga tissue tropisms nila. Ayun. Most common among here, especially in small animal practice, would be Ehrlichia canis. And this targets yung monocytes natin. And the vector would be Rhipicephalus species. I think brown dog tick, Rhipicephalus sanguineus, yung pinaka nagtatransmit sa kanila. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.